Welcome back to Brush and Blood, where I paint Warhammer miniatures while diving into stories of crime, conspiracy, and mystery. Today, I'm painting the towering Nemesis Dreadknight, one of the Grey Knight's most powerful war machines. But this isn't just a giant robot. It's a machine built to face demons themselves, and the lore behind it is as grim as it gets. Quick disclaimer before we dive in, this video is for entertainment purposes only. Some of the facts, stories, or lore may not be 100% accurate, and that's okay. The goal here isn't to be a perfect Warhammer encyclopedia, it's just to share some fun stories, cool bits of history, and have something entertaining to listen to while I paint. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. What is the Nemesis Dreadknight? The Nemesis Dreadknight is the ultimate weapon of the Grey Knights, the secretive daemon hunting Space Marine chapter. Unlike most Imperial walkers, the Dreadknight doesn't seal its pilot inside. Instead, the Grey Knight is strapped to the front of the exoskeleton, exposed, fighting alongside his machine, rather than hidden within it. Why? Because the Grey Knights believe that to battle daemons, their souls must be unshielded. They stand as living wards, their psychic might amplifying the Nemesis weapons they wield. It's not just technology, it's faith and psychic discipline forged into steel. Real history parallels secret orders. The Knights Templar, the most famous of all secret orders, the Knights Templar, founded in 1119. They vowed to protect pilgrims in the Holy Land. But quickly, they became more than warriors. Bankers, landowners, a shadow empire in plain sight. Their secrecy, their strange rituals, it drew suspicion. Eventually, kings turned on them, claiming heresy. Were they guardians, or a power too great to be left unchecked? A question that echoes the Grey Knights themselves. The assassins Hashashin. In the mountains of Persia, another order worked in secret, the Hashashin, from which we get the word assassin. They believed themselves chosen to wage war against corrupt rulers. Hidden fortresses, sudden strikes, fear as a weapon. They were shadows, just as the Dreadknight looms from the mist. And like the Grey Knights, they believed their war was holy, unseen by most, but vital to the world, the Freemasons and modern secret orders. Even today, rumors swirl about Freemasons, Illuminati, or shadow councils guiding history from behind the curtain. Most of it is myth, conspiracy layered on conspiracy. The idea endures that some hidden hand is fighting battles ordinary people never see. And that's exactly what the Nemesis Dreadknight represents, a colossal warrior built to fight the wars no one else even believes in. The psychology of secret orders. Why do secret orders fascinate us? Because they sit between protection and control. If they're heroes, they keep us safe without thanks. If they're villains, they rule us without consent. The Grey Knights and their Dreadknights embody that razor's edge, saviors from demons, but to the Imperium's people, just as secretive and terrifying as the monsters they slay. The Dreadknight was created for one purpose, to slay greater demons like bloodthirsters and lords of change. Its arsenal includes Nemesis greatswords, doomfists, and massive Gatling silencers and incinerators, all scaled up versions of Grey Knight weapons. Piloting one is considered a sacred duty. Only the most powerful Grey Knights, those whose wills can withstand the warp's corruption, are allowed to bond with a Dreadknight. The design is controversial in the lore. Even other Space Marines see it as borderline heretical, exposing the pilot. But the Grey Knights have no shame. They believe courage must be seen. Famous lore? Khaldor Drago and the Dreadknight, the supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights, Lord Khaldor Drago, has famously piloted a Nemesis Dreadknight against demonic hordes. There are tales of him cleaving Greater Daemons in half with a single swing of a Nemesis greatsword, while the machine burned with psychic wards. In one battle, a lone Dreadknight held off a host of bloodletters until reinforcements could arrive. The pilot died standing, his psychic wards flaring so bright that demons screamed as they touched him. These stories underline what the Dreadknight represents: a mortal man standing visible and defiant before the warp. The Battle of Cornovin. when the Daemon Primarch Mortarion led his Death Guard into the Cornovan system. The Grey Knights deployed en masse. Records tell of Brother Captain Stern leading Dreadknights into direct combat with Nurgle's demonic hosts. In the chaos of the battle, a lone Dreadknight fought against a Great Unclean One for hours, hammer and blade glowing with psychic wards. Though the pilot was mortally wounded, his final strike banished the demon back into the warp, saving Cornovan from corruption. The Purging of Gol. In the shadow-warped hive cities of Gol, cultists had summoned a colossal keeper of secrets. A strike force of Grey Knights descended, but it was the Dreadknights who carried the day. Their Nemesis greatswords clashed with the Daemon's blades, sparks and psychic lightning igniting the hive's ruins. Survivors told of the Dreadknights moving, like avenging angels, walking shrines of silver and flame. To the Imperium, Gol's salvation was recorded as divine intervention. But in truth, it was the Grey Knights. The exorcism at Calthrax. One of the strangest tales comes from the Daemon world of Calthrax. Here, reality itself was unstable, shifting between twisted landscapes. A Grey Knight strike force penetrated the warp storm, Dreadknights leading the way. Instead of a single battle, the machines fought for weeks, their pilots strapped to the exoskeletons as time twisted around them. When the storm cleared, Calthrax was silent. Nothing moved. The only signs of life were the broken shells of Dreadknights, their pilots long since gone. The Grey Knights never recorded what truly happened there. The last stand of Brother Arathos, perhaps the most famous Dreadknight story, is that of Brother Arathos. Facing an overwhelming tide of bloodletters on the world of Orestes, Arethos stood his ground in a Dreadknight while the rest of his brothers evacuated civilians. Witnesses say he fought for 3 days without rest, his machine drenched in warped blood, purity seals burning like fire. On the third day, a bloodthirster emerged, and Arethos met it head-on. Neither warrior walked away. The civilians escaped, but only a crater remained where man and demon clashed. Among the Grey Knights, his name is remembered as a saint. Why these stories matter? The Nemesis Dreadknight is more than a machine. Each one is tied to legends, tales of sacrifice, desperation, and impossible battles. Unlike Titans or Knights, which are famous across the Imperium, Dreadknights are remembered only in whispers within the Grey Knights themselves. Their victories are erased from records, their pilots' names often struck from Imperial history. That secrecy makes every story more powerful. These are the wars humanity never hears about, the last stands and victories that can never be celebrated. Fun fact, the Grey Knight's fortress inside the warp. Most chapters of Space Marines have a fortress monastery somewhere in real space, a bastion on a planet, or a fortress ship in orbit. But the Grey Knights, their base, Titan, is hidden within the warp itself. Yes, the same realm of madness and demons that drives men insane is where the Grey Knights built their stronghold, wrapped in wards, psychic seals, and the Emperor's blessing. Titan is a fortress that not only survives in the warp, it thrives there. From its halls, Grey Knights launch their secret wars against demons. Think about how insane that is. Every other human fears even looking into the warp, and the Grey Knights live with it outside their windows. For them, it's not just a battlefield, it's home. Some inquisitorial scholars whisper that Titan doesn't exist in any fixed location, that it phases in and out of reality, hidden from both daemons and mortals alike. For the Grey Knights, that makes perfect sense. They're not meant to be seen. They fight the battles no one else can, and their fortress exists in the very heart of the nightmare they were created to oppose. Real-world parallel exoskeletons in the military. In Warhammer, the Nemesis Dreadknight is the ultimate exosuit, a warrior strapped to a walking fortress. And while we don't have psychic Grey Knights in the real world, militaries today are experimenting with something that looks surprisingly familiar. For years, companies like Sarkos Robotics and defense agencies like DARPA have been developing powered exoskeletons. These suits aren't built to fight demons, but they are designed to make a soldier stronger, faster, and able to carry far more than any normal human could. Some exoskeletons let troops haul 200 pounds of gear without strain. Others focus on endurance, letting soldiers march for hours while conserving energy. There are even prototypes designed for construction and rescue operations, like lifting debris or heavy machinery, the kind of real-world doomfists and greatswords. The idea is simple: take an ordinary soldier and make them superhuman. It's the same principle the Grey Knights embody: one man becoming more than human through faith, will, and now technology. The limits of exosuits? But here's the twist. Unlike the Dreadknight, real-world exosuits struggle with power. Batteries can't last long enough. Many systems are still tethered to power cords for testing. And mobility is limited. Walking through rubble or a battlefield isn't nearly as smooth as sci-fi makes it look. So, while the Nemesis Dreadknight strides across war zones banishing demons, our own prototypes are still learning how to keep a soldier on their feet for more than a few hours. Big question. And that raises the same question the Imperium faces with the Dreadknight. Does putting a man in a machine make him stronger or just more vulnerable? The Grey Knight is strapped to the front of his exosuit, fully exposed. And in our world, the more tech you strap onto a soldier, the more you risk breaking them down if the machine fails. It's the eternal gamble of man and machine. Who's really in control? Pop culture parallel, Evangelion and the Dreadknight in Warhammer. The Dreadknight is controversial because the pilot is strapped to the front, exposed, rather than hidden inside. It looks strange, almost unsettling. But if you've ever watched Neon Genesis Evangelion, it feels familiar. In Evangelion, teenage pilots climb into towering biomechanical mechs to fight nightmarish enemies called angels. And just like the Grey Knights, they don't just drive their machines, they synchronize with them. Their will, their emotions, even their pain flows into the machine itself. The Dreadknight has that same disturbing energy. It's not just a machine, it's a test of willpower. The pilot isn't hidden or protected. He's right there, his faith and psychic strength exposed for the warp to see. Just as Evangelion pilots were exposed to the mental strain of synchronizing with their Avas. Both the Dreadknight and Evangelion tap into the same theme. That true strength doesn't come from hiding inside a machine, but from exposing the human soul. The Grey Knight strapped to his exoframe, silver armor glowing with psychic wards, isn't just fighting with weapons. He's fighting with his spirit laid bare. The Evangelion pilot does the same, stepping into a nightmare, knowing their mind and body could break at any moment. It's a terrifying image, but that's what makes it compelling. It's man and machine, not as separate things, but as one fragile, powerful, dangerous weapon. Here's our finished Nemesis Dreadknight, a walking fortress, a psychic blade made steel. But more than that, it's a symbol. In a universe full of horrors, it shows us the lengths humanity will go to fight back and the terrible costs they'll accept along the way. Thanks for painting and exploring the lore with me today. In the next episode of Brush and Blood, we'll step away from towering war machines and focus on a true leader of the Adeptus Astartes, a space marine captain. We'll explore his role, his history, and why the captains are the backbone of every chapter. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss that episode, and drop a comment below telling me your favorite Grey Knights or Dreadknight story. I'd love to hear the battles or lore moments that stick with you the most.